The gap between what people think works in marketing and what actually makes money in 2026 is the biggest that it's ever been in history. People think that you just have to follow some formula. You just go through this set of steps and then you're going to make money. We see this every single day and it's enormously frustrating. People come to us, we have a quiz software, and they're like, what's the exact thing that we do? What are the number of questions? What's the exact flow? What's the topics that we use? And they just want a formula. I think the reason why people think that you can just follow a formula and make a lot of money is because in the 1990s, that's kind of how it worked. People didn't actually know how the internet worked at that point. And so you could go on the internet and you could just make this formula, you could say some stuff, and then people would buy your products. The reason why is that people were used to going on encyclopedias to get information. And in an encyclopedia, everything was vetted, everything was edited, everything was actually real. So everything that you read there was the truth. And then you just kind of replicated what an encyclopedia looked like on the internet, but then you sold your products and it actually worked. That hangover has lasted 30 years. We still think that's how it works. And it is crazy to me how many people think that you just have to follow the right set of steps, say the right words on a sales page, set up the right funnel, and you'll just print money. It's not true. It is not true. It is not true. It is not true. When I talk to people and I interview them every single week, these are creators who have businesses. They're creatorpreneurs. That's kind of the big term now. Creatorpreneurs, so they are creators, but they also have a real business on the back end. It has recurring revenue. They have multiple revenue streams and they are making, in many cases, millions of dollars a year. And they are definitely not following some formula and then just spamming ad traffic to it and then printing money. That is the exact opposite of what they're doing. What they are actually doing is they're showing up every day in a way that is authentic to them. They're not showing up with everything in their life. They're not showing their daily activities and doing a vlog of every single thing that they do. That's an old version of the internet. What they are doing is they're showing up and talking about things that they care about to people that they care to be helpful to in a way that is real to them. And I interviewed somebody last week who was saying that it takes 7 to 8 hours of exposure now. Somebody has to listen to you or watch you for 7 to 8 hours before they're ready to buy. That's crazy. That's like the exact opposite of that old model of set up a formula, run ad traffic to it, have a long sales page, and then you'll get conversions. That's like the exact opposite. It couldn't be anything further from the truth. And when I talk to these people, they are absolutely crushing it. But there's one key thing that they all do that I think is really, really interesting. And it's that they know, and one of the people told me this, it's from Explicit Essentials. It's an e-commerce shop that's grown every year at least 50%, some years over 100%. And what she told me, the founder, was that she knows exactly what to say to get her people to respond. And I think that's the most insightful comment that I've heard from a business owner in a really long time. She knows exactly what to say to get people to respond. And I think it just kind of unpack that. It's like, what does your audience care about? What are they thinking about? What are the things that are bothering them in their day? What are the things that they want for themselves? And if you can speak to those things, you can speak to how they're feeling, you can speak to kind of what's going on underneath, then you'll start to build that connection. And then if you show up every single day, right? Even if they're just watching clips, right? Let's say they're just watching clips and your clips are 30 seconds and they watch 2 or 3 of them a day. How long does it take to get to 8 hours? I'm not that great at math on the fly, but probably 6 months. Let's just say 6 months. So 6 months of them showing up every day and feeling seen, heard, understood, and like you can actually help them with whatever it is that they're going through. And maybe what they need help with is just a little boost in their day. Maybe they just need a little bit of advice. They need a little bit of practicality. They need a little bit of mental, whatever. Whatever it is that they need, you know that they need that, and you know how to deliver it to them in a way that works for them. Whatever format works for them. Right now, a lot of that is going to be short form video. That's how people choose to consume in 2026. And I think that's also a bit evolutionary. And that might be a little extreme to say it that way, but like I do think that the way that social media has changed is in reaction to that old formula that everybody still think works. That old formula where it's just like, here's this funnel I'm going to manipulate you into buying something, and you are not going to have a choice. I'm going to hit the right trigger words that psychologically make you feel fear, or like you're going to miss out, or a sense of loss, or loss aversion, and then you're going to have to buy. That's the old model. And it comes from like a few gurus. And I know some of them actually personally. Others I have come across tertiarily, whatever that word is. And those people themselves are deeply unhappy. There's some of the most diabolical people that I've ever met. The ones that are teaching this, like, oh, just follow this exact formula, super unhappy. Even though they did make a ton of money, but in their real life, behind the scenes, they're constantly kind of like doing this weird reinvention. They're constantly like changing how they show up. Their whole vibe changes like at once a year or every other year. And you're just like, who are you? Actually, like, who are you as a person? And I don't even know that they know anymore. And I think it's because they got so used to just like, oh, here, follow this formula and it works. But then the formula has to change. So then you have to change, and you have to be like a wholly different person. And that's what people respond to now. And it's like, you are trying to be a thing that people want, and you're just constantly having to reinvent. They're just deeply unhappy. On the other hand, the folks that I interview on the Interact podcast, they're really happy. Like, they actually enjoy what they do, and they care about it a lot. And I think the reason why is because they're just leading with, what does the audience want? What does the audience find valuable? And I'm delivering what the audience finds valuable in a way that is still true to me. Like, it is an aspect of myself, but I'm not molding myself completely to like, oh, here's a formula that makes people buy things, so I'll just be that now. It's like that Taylor Swift song, and I forget which one, but it's just like, I'll be whatever you want me to be for a week. And that doesn't work. It obviously doesn't work. It doesn't work in the Taylor Swift's world. It doesn't work in marketing. But that's the model that still everybody has in their heads. And when people come to us at Interact, I can tell you immediately that they will fail if they are asking me, oh, how many questions should I have? What's the exact setup that I should do? What's the exact way to word this title? It's not about that. It's not about how do you set things up in a perfect step-by-step formula that moves people down the funnel and you go from exposure to conversion to nurture to buy. No, not at all. Not in the absolute least. And over the last 5 years, I have seen more businesses that were set up like that go to zero than any time that I've been on the internet, which is basically the entirety of the internet. Those businesses have gone to zero leads, which is crazy. Like, literally zero people opt into their opt-ins, and obviously zero sales. And I mean zero. Like, I've been on innumerate calls where people are like, what happened? My quiz all of a sudden is delivering zero. And I think that people have evolved where they're just like, I'm not putting up with this anymore. Unless you can prove to me that you understand me, and now I'm the audience, right? I'm your audience. Unless you can prove to me that you understand what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what my struggles are, what's going on in my world, what's my actual situation, and you can show up consistently for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you can be the same. You're not just constantly molding and shifting yourself to try to manipulate me. Unless you can do that, I'm not buying from you. I'm not going to opt into your email list. I'm not going to take your quiz. I'm not going to join your webinar. I'm not going to get your downloadable guide. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm not even going to watch your video for more than 0 seconds. I will swipe away immediately. And I'm going to go find somebody else who does understand me, who does understand my world, what I'm going through, what I'm experiencing, how I feel on a day-to-day basis, the actual nuances of what's going on, and can then step into my world and give me small incremental things that I can do to either get where I want to go or eliminate something that I don't want in my life. That is what's working in marketing. And it is a world away from this model of like, okay, set up your ads to be this, set up your landing page to be this, set up your nurture email to be this, and say this thing and then this. No, people don't want that. People want you to step into their world and understand what's going on with them. They want you to be able to speak to that at every level of the chain, from your social content, from your website, to your emails that go out, to your products. It has to be diabolically consistent. And if it's diabolically consistent, then that can start to build that trust. Then you can start to stack the time, 7 to 8 hours. And honestly, I think in some products, like our product, I would probably say it's at least double that. When people do come around and they're ready to do a quiz with us, often they've been following for 5 to 7 years. And that sounds insane because our subscription is $30 a month. But it's not insane. It's not insane when what you're coming from is this world where you would buy a subscription for $30 a month and you'd get delivered some piece of junk product that may or may not even be real. It's not insane to flip completely to the other side where you're like, I need to know that these people are actually what they say they are before I give them any of my dollars. Because there's also this pervasive fear right now of AI and changes in the world where people are like, I got to hold on to these dollars. I don't know if I'm going to get any more. What if AI just takes over every job that I could possibly do? How am I going to get more dollars? So I'm not going to spend my dollars unless I actually think that you can be helpful with whatever it is I'm trying to get. And again, it's like that versus, oh, here's a sales funnel. You definitely will get people to follow exactly through the sales funnel if you just buy the right ads. That's not going to work. People are much too thoughtful and much too apprehensive and much too risk averse in this environment to do any of that. And I can tell you, because I can see behind the scenes, that it's delivering $0. And I do think that there's still an attraction to that formula by creators and business owners and marketers, especially in the beginning, because it does sound easy. It sounds like, oh yeah, I could just set this up and then I'll be good. It prints money and I don't have to really work on it. But the people that I talk to who are successful and have been for a long time, I would say on average 5 years up to 15, 20 years, they're the ones where they're like, yeah, no. Like there is no such thing as a formula. All you have to do is listen and understand and be empathetic to the situation of the people that you are trying to serve, who ultimately become your customers, who are funding you, which I think is just another crazy thing about all this is like your customers are funding you. They're giving you their money and you treat them like they are some sort of just number abstracted away that you're just trying to push through a sales funnel. What's like, that's crazy. Why? Not only is that not helpful to them, it's not helpful to you. And again, like the people that do that, deeply sad, just deeply sad. I cannot stress that enough. They do not like their lives. And I think it's just because, like, the whole karma thing, like, you can tell if you're not actually helping somebody, then you're not going to feel good about it. They're not going to feel good about it. But that is the model. And again, it's so far away from the reality that's working today. And I do think that it's taken people voting with their dollars. People are just outright refusing to go down those funnels anymore, to go through those formulaic pathways. They can spot it. It's almost like how people can spot AI generated stuff. It's like, yeah, I know what this is. I've seen this before. I've seen this sales funnel before. I've seen this formula before. I know what this is. I'm not falling for it. But if there's nothing to fall for, because you actually care about what you're doing, you actually care about the way that you're helping people, the way that you are solving a problem for people, And just in my own story here, it's like since 2013, we've had a quiz software. The quizzes help people convert their traffic into email subscribers. It's really simple. And in the beginning, it was like website traffic. Now it's almost exclusively Instagram traffic. And so you're creating content on Instagram, you set up DM automation, and it goes to a quiz. And at the end of the quiz, people can put in their email if they want to join your email list, and it converts at 40%. It has converted at 40% from the very beginning. That's the elevator pitch. But what keeps me locked into it is not that the average conversion rate is 40%. What keeps me locked into it is that 11 years ago, I talked to a customer and she was like, I've been using your software for 2 years. It helped me add 7,000 people to my email list. That helped me get my book deal because the publisher saw that I had an email list so I could help promote the book. That was my life's dream. Now that book has sold, I don't know how many, tens of thousands of copies. It's in a bunch of different languages and life is transformed. Or Carly, who I had on the podcast last year, where her quiz has done 170,000 new email subscribers since she's been using it, I think since maybe 2018. And I asked her, like, what's the impact? And she's like, my life is great. I don't have to be like showing up in ways that I don't want to. I can kind of choose the way that my business operates. And a huge part of that, and her primary funnel, her primary way of getting leads has been that quiz for 8 years now. And those are the stories. Those are the stories where it's like, yeah, that is really worthwhile. Because for somebody that is a creator who's done a really excellent job of building up a highly engaged audience, and they're just looking for a way to connect with those people because they want to keep it personal, but they obviously can't talk to every single person. Their audience is too big now. Then the quiz comes in, does its thing. Everybody loves it. The people taking the quiz love it. The creator loves it. And it's what keeps me going. And I have co-founders and I have a great team. That's also a huge part of it, like working with people that you enjoy. But again, like that's real. And that's the stuff that I talk about in our content. So if somebody's following our company, Interact, and they're listening to our podcast, I'm literally just talking to people every single week, usually twice a week on the podcast, about their quiz, how it's helped their business grow, and how it's beneficial to them. And if it wasn't, like if that didn't exist, like if I couldn't reach out to our customers and be like, hey, do you want to come on and talk about the quiz? And they're like, yes, of course. This is like the main way that I add email subscribers, and it's been monumentally helpful to my business, and I really enjoy it and people enjoy taking it. If that wasn't happening, I wouldn't keep going because I'm not wired that way. And then when I create content and I'm talking to those customers, that's the basis of that content. The basis is this tool is really helpful to you and it's helpful to me because it makes my business sustainable. And that's literally everything that we're talking about. Then you follow that for 6 to 12 months and sometimes 9 years, which is not an exaggeration. We have a lot of customers that have been following us for close to a decade before they sign up and use our product. But throughout that decade, every piece of content, every story on the podcast is virtually the same. And it's just like, hey, if you're in this exact scenario, which is like kind of a niche scenario, but if you're in this exact scenario where you're a successful creator-led business, creatorpreneur, and you have reached a certain following count or traffic count where increasing your lead conversion in a way that feels authentic to you would be great for your business, then a quiz is an awesome solution. I'm just chuckling because it's like, it's so specific. But I mean, it's a $3 million a year business. It's growing still. I think that anybody who is running a business, and this is just kind of what I'm saying, is working. You have to key in on like, what is the thing that is enormously helpful to the people that get the most benefit from whatever it is that you're offering, and it doesn't have to be a software tool. It could be a membership. It could be course that you have. Those are kind of outdated now, but it could be a book that you written. It could just be your content. And then your content is supplemented by external advertisers that you partner with. Whatever it is, whatever the way that it is that you're helping people, if you stay keyed into that so that it continues to be helpful to people, and then that's what you focus on when you are talking, then it all just kind of makes sense. And there is no clean funnel. When you do get around to doing things like lead magnets, like this is the super interesting thing to me when I talk to these people about their quizzes, because that's a lead magnet. They don't think about it as a funnel or like a formula. And when I ask them how they came up with the content, they're literally just like, oh, well, I've had this consultation with people a million times, literally, where I help them find a good career path, or I help them find a good weight loss path, or I help them find the right car to buy or the right coffee to buy, or like those are all real examples from the podcast in the last year. It's just recreating things that they already do to be helpful to people. There is no formula. And it's just like, I think this is where a lot of my frustration stems from, is because not everybody, but I'd say the vast majority of people come in to use our product and interact, and they're like, all right, what's the formula? And I'm like, you have the formula. The formula comes from you knowing what your audience needs and helping them reach those needs for a really long time. And then eventually recognizing patterns in that, where it's like, oh, typically I recommend to people like basically one of these 4 paths to find the ideal career, or to find the right weight loss path, or to find the right interior design style if that's what they're looking for, to find the right car. I generally am like, oh, here's like 4 kind of general types of cars that would work for you, or maybe it's a specific car to start off, and then you recommend 3 other ones, right? You just recognize patterns because of how you've helped people, and then that becomes a quiz. It's not, oh, what's the right formula for a quiz? What's the right formula for a freebie? What's the right formula for a workshop? It's not that. It's what's helpful to people. And then eventually, once you figure out these patterns in what's helpful to people, that can be repurposed into a workshop, a quiz, downloadable, whatever it may be. And that's kind of where the products start to pop up. The products are the things that are repeatable and scalable, where it's like, oh, a lot of my audience wants help with this specific thing, and the right way to help them with that thing is to do a 2-hour live workshop, or to give them a checklist they can download, or to take a quiz to find the right pathway, whatever it is, right? That's where the products come in. And it's just like, okay, well, that's a manifestation of having helped a whole bunch of people with their problems, and they typically have the same problems. But again, to contrast that to this old formula where it's like, oh, follow this and put in these keywords and hit these psychological triggers, and all of a sudden you'll just print money. Nothing could be further from the truth. And that's where I'll end it. Nothing could be further from the truth. That's not the truth. The truth is that listening and being empathetic and understanding and really being deeply thoughtful about who your audience is and what you can be helpful to them, uniquely helpful to them with, that's where all your content comes from. That's where all your sales funnels come from. That's where all your lead magnets come from. All your products come from. All comes from that. So it's literally just, it's nothing like what people currently think marketing is supposed to look like. And I think that's great. I think it's going to be really awesome for the future of humanity in general, if that's how we think about doing sales and marketing, where it's just like, what do people actually need from me? What is most helpful to the people that I'm trying to be helpful to? Everything stems from that.